let me note for the record that I'm joined this evening, and I'm just going to read the council members' names as I see them on the screen. I'm joined by Councilman Josh Victim, Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti, Councilman Nick LeBron, Councilwoman Tiana Hercules, and I believe that's it. There is, of course, just one item on the agenda tonight, and that is to receive comments on the report from the Charter Revision Commission. And before we do that, I just want to note some of the procedure that got us here tonight. Many of you may know this already, but we did receive a pretty good report from the staff attorney, Steve Mednick, at council meeting, committee of the whole meeting recently. And in that, Attorney Mednick noted that the commission itself that rendered the report that we're about to get some comments on is a 14-member commission whose members were all appointed by council. I was on that commission. I believe I'm the only member of council that was on that commission. The commission first met on April 22nd of 2021. It held 29 meetings from April 22nd through May of this year. And we had monthly public comment sessions. So once a month, one of our meetings was included public comment. We also had 2 statutory public hearings, one on May 20th of 2021 and a second one on May 24th of 2022. And during those 29 meetings, we conducted numerous subject-based panel discussions with various persons from around the state and around the country to give us input as to how other charters are drafted. So with that said, I believe we have 2 people who have signed up. And let me just note, we've been joined by Councilman TJ Clark. We have 2 people who have signed up to give comments this evening, and like any one of our public hearings, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. So that said, I see that we have the mayor of the city of Hartford, Luke Bronin. And so Mayor, you are number 1 on the list tonight. And so I turn the mic over to you.
I wonder, Councilman Gill, I have a procedural question. I'm sorry, Mayor, to almost interrupt. Just as we begin, and also for the information of anyone who watches or sees it later, when we had our committee of the whole meeting on the Charter Revision Commission's report, I guess that was last week, we adjourned with a plan to have another meeting. Do we know, and I guess I can ask you or Council President, I just haven't seen it yet pop up. Have we scheduled that further meeting of the committee of the whole?
I am not aware of the scheduling. If any other council members want to chime in here? Doesn't appear that anybody knows.
Yeah, Councilman Gill, to Councilman Mitchell's point, no, I'm not aware. I've not heard of a follow-up committee of the whole.
Thank you.
Okay, and thanks for the interruption, because it reminded me one other thing. You know, as with any public hearing, there should be no debate between council members and the speaker, but council members may feel free to ask questions of any speaker. So, Mayor, we'll try once again.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Didn't want to interrupt again. There is a tentative meeting on the calendar hold for this Thursday for the committee of the whole.
Thursday of this week.
Of this week, correct.
Like 2 days from now.
Like 2 days from now.
Okay.
Mayor, the floor is yours. Sorry about that.
No, thank you. Thank you to all the members of the council, and thanks for the opportunity to testify at the hearing today. I will do my best to be brief. I do have comments that probably would go in excess of 5 minutes if I said them all. So we'll leave it up to you whether I get any ability to go a little bit longer later on. But first of all, I just want to say thank you to the council for holding the hearing and to all of the members of the Charter Revision Commission who have done all the work over the last month that Councilman Gill referred to. There are a number of proposals in the Charter revision recommendations that I do have some concern about, and I wanted to raise them to the council's attention. So I'm going to try to go fairly quickly, but I'm happy to go into as much detail on any of these as any council members would like. The first concerns the changes to the council staff. So as you know, I've long been supportive of the idea that council professionalize its staff with staff members that are skilled in particular areas such as legislative drafting, budgeting. But I think there are a number of things in the current draft that are of concern. One is it's not clear whether the proposed staff model is in place of the existing council aid system or whether it is in addition to and duplicative. And so I do worry that if it's in addition to and duplicative, that it's creating a very large additional budgetary expenditure and bureaucratic increase in council staff. And I think that's something that council should take seriously for a number of reasons, including budget implications. It's also unclear whether the staff are to be classified or unclassified employees. There are actually conflicting provisions in the charter. In one place of the earlier in the revision, it suggests that specific positions would be classified. But later on, the charter says that all employees of council would be unclassified. And I would strongly urge you to consider clarifying that. And in particular, we call your attention to the fact that the charter proposes that the legislative director who would be hired would not only be classified, but would have a term of service of 4 years with no provision for removal. And if I were sitting in your shoes, I would want the legislative director to be somebody who could be who was responsive to council, who could be hired, who was an at-will employee, who could be hired or changed at the council's discretion and will. Again, if I were sitting in your shoes, that's something that I would think would be important. Seems to contemplate the hiring of a full-time parliamentarian, which would be a high budget expense, but not clear why you'd need a full-time parliamentarian if you got corporation counsel, as well as the ability to engage outside legal counsel as necessary. There is one section where it would seem to eliminate the council and the mayor's joint budgeting authority with respect to the hiring of outside counsel. It actually says that in the event there are insufficient funds available for the retention of counsel, the council may implement a budget transfer. That would be a unilateral budget action that I don't think is subject to the checks and balances that are in the existing charter. So those are just a few issues. There are actually quite a few more, but I wanted to flag those in particular and be happy to provide additional info and other feedback. So, following this hearing. With respect to the section on boards and commissions, a few things to flag there as well. I'm not sure that it really makes sense to ask every board and commission to meet monthly. Boards and commissions are very different in their roles and responsibilities, requiring not only a monthly hearing, but a monthly public hearing. I think may be overly burdensome for some of the commissions that we have. Not entirely clear to me that each one of them requires a clerk to staff it. There are also, I have some concerns about the creation of what is referred to in the proposal as the applicant pool, which suggests that there is every year or 2 years, there is an applicant pool established with a window when people can submit their interest, and then the mayor can only select from that pool in nominating people to boards and commissions. I'm all for creating a mechanism for soliciting interest and for encouraging residents to put their names forward and have it in one general place where we can all see who's expressed interest. But I don't know that it makes any sense to say that you're limited to that pool. And I think that's an inappropriate restriction on the appointment authority. There are quite a few areas that need to be cleaned up. There's some places where there are just some, but I think are improper cut and paste jobs. For example, in the section on planning and zoning, it refers to the skill set that I think is meant to apply to the Board of Assessment Appeals. So that there are throughout the draft some places where I think there's quite a bit of cleanup needed. And also in P and Z, there's a reference to matters that have to be referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission, but it's a very detailed list, including the establishment of a parking space. And I think what would make a lot more sense is to refer to the state statute 824, which lays out what matters have to be referred to P and Z. I will also say, I would advise against splitting the appointment authority on boards such as planning and zoning, Board of Zoning Appeals and Board of Assessment Appeals. Understand that we may have differing perspectives on that, but I think that it's an appropriate balance that mayor nominates and the council has the ability to reject or approve those nominations. I think the dual appointment authority could raise some additional questions when it's coupled with the requirement for minority party representation, as it raises the question of which appointing authority needs to appoint from a majority or minority party. So those are a few
Mayor?
issues there.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'm gonna-
Councilman.
I'm going to put you on hold for a second.
Okay.
I think it is clear that you have a lot of comments, and I think council would probably benefit from hearing all those comments. But in deference to the public, since we have at least one other person who signed up, what I'd like to do is perhaps put you on hold. Let the public give comments and then come back and allow you to continue, because I imagine there will be questions on these various areas. I know you've touched on 4 different areas, but I suspect you have a few more that you want to touch on. So that said, I believe Alyssa Peterson is the only other person that's on our list tonight. Alyssa, are you on this Zoom with us at this point?
Yep. Can you hear me?
All right, go
Can you hear
ahead.
me?
You've got 5 minutes, Alyssa.
Okay, I don't need that much. Thank you. Alyssa Peterson, 297 Grandview Terrace. I could have heard more changes from the mayor, as if he hasn't got enough power and wants more and wants to seek more through his changes. So I'll be anxious to hear what else he has to say as far as more control. I'd like to speak briefly tonight on what a colossal failure this current charter change commission has been. We have a weak council form of government that required structural change. Our current council has turned over more power than ever to a strong mayor, more power than Hernan LaFontaine handed over to Eddie Perez. The reaction afterward, if anyone listening remembers, was that Sean Wooden was appointed council president and then took sole chairmanship over the OMBG committee, in addition to having full-time legal counsel. He wielded considerable power over the city's budget and bonding, as well as the legal language of resolutions and ordinances as a result. That power pendulum swung too far, and now it's swung back too far again. So now is the time for true structural charter change. I will be spending time to defeat the 2022 proposed charter and gather the signatures necessary to put an alternative on the November ballot. John Bazzano once sent me to a town clerk who showed me how nearby towns have done it previously via petition. This new charter alternative will be simple. Every neighborhood in Hartford needs its own representation, its own council person or 2. 15 district council members in all. New Britain currently has 15, Bridgeport has 20, New Haven has 30. Our current 9 at-large council are not enough. Those who supported a district council in Hartford in the 1990s were right. Because nowadays, it only takes 5 at-large Hartford council members representing no specific neighborhood to eliminate executive oversight and hand over power and the purse to the mayor. And there's no better example of structural charter failure than in the North End, where 2 of its majority Democratic members are not in the ruling 5 council. Because of a ridiculous redistricting line, someone living deep in Asylum Hill somehow qualifies for the 7th district. That's not real representation for the North End of Hartford. This proposed charter before us is DOA, dead on arrival. I'm looking forward to gathering signatures for basic charter change for real neighborhood council representation. 15 elected district council and 5 elected Board of Education. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none. Councilman Mictum?
Well, this is not a question for Ms. Peterson, although I do I thank her for joining us and sharing her opinions. But actually for Corporation Counsel, and maybe for you, since you're chairing the meeting, is this meeting live at all or no? Everyone who's going to see it other than the people who are speaking have to see it recorded? Is that?
That's kind of my understanding. I don't know that this is live.
So my
Because-
question, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because there was some, I don't know if it was a fire or something happened to HPA-TV is what my understanding is.
So my question is whether, and I guess it's a question for Corp Counsel, are we satisfying the public meeting law? Because the public meeting law says that it has to be public and anyone can get in without having to give their name or filling out any questionnaire. But as I look on the website, it seems like the only way to get in here is to have signed up to speak. So it seems like the meeting is not public for the mayor. I would just like to make sure that we're following the rules.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that Councilman Mictum may have a very legitimate point and question. Clearly, the state statute governing the conduct of Charter Revision Commission contemplates a public hearing. I don't know that, and that would mean either access through a Zoom call or participating live at a meeting. So I'm not sure that this live taped event would constitute a public hearing where people could, in addition to signing up in advance, be motivated to offer commentary on the proposed charter revision.
I want to suggest that we stop and reschedule.
Yeah.
Well, here's, if I may, I thank you, Corporation Counsel, and it's not, I didn't hear a real definitive answer, but I think it sounds like there's something iffy about it. And as was noted earlier, we have a tentative committee of the whole meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. on Thursday. And so I'm wondering if it turns out that Corp Counsel rules that we do need to hold another public hearing, perhaps we can do it Thursday night in conjunction with the committee on the whole, starting perhaps at 6 o'clock with the public hearing. But I hate to give up the opportunity to hear the comments from the mayor tonight, whether they're in public or not. I mean, the mayor can certainly come back and give them if he chooses to, but it sounds like a lot of these comments might benefit the rest of us. So Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Councilman Gill. I would have to say that I am listening to the mayor's comments. However, the problem is, which Councilman Mitchum had raised, is that the public actually cannot view, although I think it was the intent that after this meeting concludes, since it's being recorded, it's going to be broadcasted to HPA-TV, but the public is not able to listen to this live. So furthermore, I do know that this is, we do have a tentative schedule, tentative committee of the whole meeting on Thursday. However, I don't believe that there has an agenda that has been released. So given that, and I do believe there's a 48-hour requirement. So I think that we are past that 48-hour requirement for actually having a committee of the whole, because that agenda has not been released, at least to my knowledge. So might we want to consider another public hearing so that we can actually hear from the public. You know, it will be up to the mayor whether he wants to again to sign up so that we can might be able to have more people from the public actually weigh in and hear their comments regarding their views on the proposed changes from the Charter Commission. Now, that probably will call for the council to delay its vote to push back for another month, but we want to do our due diligence and make sure that all members of the public are adequately engaged so that we can hear what their comments are. And also too, I would like to also ask that if there's any recommendation. I know that we have spoken about, some of us have spoken about district elections. And so I would really like to hear or see if there's any analysis that's been done to pinpoint as to what the budget would look like if we would go to a 13 or 15 member council.
If I may, Mr. Chair, just to further comment on Councilman Clark's observation, I think that he's absolutely right that the notice period for a new public hearing has passed, and so it could not be at the COW meeting on Thursday. So you would have to reschedule. And just a reminder that once you hold the public hearing on the Charter Revision Commission report, you then must act, if you're going to act at all, within 15 days, or yes, within 15 days following the date of the new public hearing, just to give you a sense of the calendar. Then if you make changes and send them back to the Charter Revision Commission, they have 30 days within which to consider the recommended changes that the council is proffering to them.
Thank you, Mr. Rifkin. One other question for you. Is there anything, is there any particular reason not to continue to hear the mayor's comments tonight? Would that be inappropriate given that this is not, that the public can't see it right now, but could see it potentially tomorrow?
Well, I would defer to the mayor. I mean, I don't think there's anything improper if the mayor wants to continue commenting, knowing that there will be a public hearing where it will either be in person or people will have access in real time to the hearing, even if they haven't signed up to testify. So I would defer to the mayor as to whether or not he wants to continue or wait till the formal public hearing.
Councilman Mictum?
Thank you, and thank you, Corp Council. Just not to be a nudge here, but if this is not public, aren't we basically having a meeting with more than 4 members at this point? I mean, I'm going to say again, we should just stop now and start again later.
Well, I mean, I defer to Corp Council, but I don't think this is a meeting. It's a public hearing, but.
It's a private meeting, though.
It's a private.
No one's here but us.
All right, well, anybody else want to comment?
This is Councilwoman Hercules. Sorry, I'm driving. I would just kind of second what has been, or echo what has been communicated, that the public has not or does not have a meaningful opportunity to communicate or participate in this meeting. And so that would make this a private meeting, and we would be in violation of the rules with more than 4 members on this call. So I would suggest that we close the private meeting and reschedule it for another day. The issue at hand is a little too important, and the public should have a meaningful opportunity to participate in the meeting.
Councilwoman Surgeon, hang on, oh, hold it. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Councilman Gale, I would like to put a recommendation on the table that since we have a tentative, and it has not been scheduled, because you do also have to notice the COW meeting, and today is Tuesday, and I don't think that has been noticed, is to schedule a legal COW meeting and invite the mayor at the COW meeting to finish his presentation or his opinion on the charter revision. So that's what I would like to propose on the table currently and close this meeting now.
Any other comments?
if I might,
Sure.
just to comment, this is, I do not believe this is a private meeting, nor can it be characterized that way. It was noticed, proper notice was given, an opportunity to ask to testify was given. I think the problem in terms of the state statute with respect to Charter Revision Commission is that this hearing is not accessible in real time to individuals. But I wouldn't want, if people ever review this recording, to suggest that this is an illegal, improper meeting or a private meeting of the council. That is just not the case. And so with that, however you want to move forward, I think that with all due respect to Councilwoman Surgeon, the real question here is rescheduling a public hearing, noticing it properly, making sure that individuals have the opportunity in real time to offer comments on the Charter Revision Commission report. And so it would be at that point that anybody, including the mayor, would have the opportunity to testify and offer a comment.
Okay. Any other questions from council? There's one other person on my screen anyway. Not sure who that is, but I do want to ask if there was any other member of the public who wanted to give testimony, because based on everything I've heard, if some member of the public did sign on tonight, I think they should get an opportunity. Is there any other member of the public that wants to say something tonight? Okay. All right, hearing none, the consensus seems to me to be not to continue the hearing here tonight. So unless somebody wants to, smote me, I'm going to consider this. I'll formally adjourn the meeting, whether it's a legal meeting or not. It's a meeting. It's a hearing. It's not a meeting. It's a hearing. So I'm going to adjourn, and I will note that I got a text while we've been talking that says the Office of Council President is already scheduling a public hearing for next week. So that we will have that public hearing, hopefully when we can do it live, either in council chambers and not have to, rest our fortunes on whether HPA-TV can broadcast, or maybe it'll be by Zoom and they'll be broadcasting at that point. So without objection, unless there is any, I'm going to adjourn this meeting tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and we look forward to hearing more from you, certainly.
Thank you.